大家好，我是 Olive Branch Dallin. If you ever tried weight training before, because you've heard of the benefits, perhaps from me, and you're not making any progress and your motivation starts to dwindle because of that, since weight training isn't the most fun exercise there is, well, there are some tips and key pointers for you to understand why that is and what you can do about it. After all, weight training is really good for your health and you should try your best to make progress in it. First off, don't feel bad. This is actually a very common thing. Now, even in fitness studies where they recruit a bunch of volunteers to do weight training to elicit health benefits from them, they often underperform. And scientists then have to note in the studies that the participants did not train hard enough or the intensity wasn't high enough during the weight training session to elicit any benefits from weight training. Here are some reasons why your progress is slow. Number one, you're not training hard enough. And a reason why you might not be training hard enough is because you think that the load you're lifting is enough. And you need to understand is that your bodies are very adaptive biological machines. And so they really listen to the environment you're in. And so if your workload is very, very little or the stimulation is low, like you're shuffling paper all day or just typing on a keyboard while seated all day, then you probably have enough muscles already in your body for it to do its job and it won't need to grow anymore, even though you're doing very little exercise. On the contrary, if you're lifting heavy rocks all day and throwing a sledgehammer as your day job, then you probably will be getting a lot of heavy workload done and your body will need more muscles to do that job. So weight training is kind of like an artificial rock and hammer. And so although the stimulation of these two are actually the same, your body feels it the same way, you will in fact grow more muscles because you need stronger bones and muscles to handle that environment. This principle is called progressive overload and is the main key point for strength training progress. So if you're lacking progress in weight training, make sure you address this progressive overload. So another reason why you're not training hard enough is that you actually think that you can't lift any heavier. Now, I train a lot of new clients in strength training, and they often go to me and say, oh, I can't lift that, that's too heavy for me, even before they even tried the weight. And what of course always ends up happening is that not only do they meet the weight requirement, but they surpass it, proving that your perception of your own physical ability is far below reality. Point number two is that you're not training frequently enough. So similarly to not training hard enough, another stimulation that your body needs to receive is frequency. And so that is the way that you let your body know that this is not just a one-time event where you're doing something hard, but it's a reoccurring habit. And thereby you do need the infrastructure, the bones and the muscles to do this hard work day in and day out. Thereby it'll lay down all the protein required for muscle building. And so this is actually also a very important stimulation for your body to make progress. And this is where I would say it's quite personal from everybody, but typically no less than twice a week is a starting point for a frequency. Point number three is that you're not eating enough. And this can be the case if your eating consumption has not changed or the quality of your protein hasn't changed as you start your workout routine. This is because when you're exercising intensely, you're actually breaking down muscle fibers. And so it needs more protein to repair and then even more to lay down even more muscle protein synthesis. And so I've talked a lot about this in an earlier video on how much protein you actually need. You can refer to that for more information. The fourth and final point I'm making here is that you might not be recovering enough. And this is maybe not so applicable for most of you guys, but if you are one of those who are training a lot and excessively, then this actually is very important because when you're doing a lot of intense workouts, you are breaking down muscle fibers and it does take time for them to repair itself, usually about 48 hours. And so if you hit your body again with another hard session of working out, then you're not giving your body a chance to fully repair itself before you cause a stimulation again. In fact, it's maybe halfway through recovery and you damage the muscle again. That's kind of like you're picking at a scar. You're never letting it heal. And so my recommendation is that you should feel out your body. And if you ever do feel like your workouts are becoming more and more tired and you're not being able to perform at the same level, even though you're eating and you're sleeping the same, it has not changed, then it's possible that you're overtraining. And you can see an earlier video on overtraining that we talk about this. Now, this is very important because if you push overtraining to the extreme, there can actually be very bad consequences. So don't lose hope. I'm confident that if you practice these tips that I've mentioned here, that you'll be making changes to your body composition for the better. And so, as always, please leave any comments below if you have been making any progress, or if you're not, I'd still like to very much to hear from you. And as always, if you have any other questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I'll see you next time.